Confirm or deny. We know how it's played. We're going to make statements. If we agree, we confirm or we deny it. There's also a little Fergie option if you can neither confirm nor deny, but neither of us are gutless weasels like Timo and Wilson, and we will never, ever choose that option. I had to get at least one jab into that group today.
I knew you would.
Yeah, it took me like an hour and a half to get into it, but I at some point I knew I was going to throw in a little jab to those weasels, and I got it in there.
And because Luke was riding you, he said that it was going to be a backdoor cover last night, and you were crazy to take the pack.
Not even close. They didn't put up a point. Didn't put up a single point.
And it wasn't close.
I think they crossed the 50-yard line once in that game.
There was no indication that they were going to put up a point.
No, not even close to putting up any amount of offense. It was quite a brutal, pitiful performance. Like, confirm or deny, Dave, impromptu, that was the worst offense we've seen all season.
Well, the first shutout of the year, right?
But, like, specifically, you look at the roster. Like, I don't think there's been a worse, 12-man roster that has been on a football field at the same time than what we saw last night.
It was ugly.
On New Orleans.
I mean, it was just ugly, and it's just sad that it had to happen on a Monday night at holiday season.
Exactly. That's the thing. Everyone watching. Everyone's home for the holidays. They're all at the neighborhood bars, and you're watching with your friends and family, and that's the garbage that you had to watch what the Saints put out there, that product.
Pathetic.
And it's funny because what Kirk Morrison was talking about, how the team, was so good out of the gate, right? They put up historic numbers through weeks 1 and 2, and then it just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
An absolute 36-wheeler off a cliff here, Dave. Wild stuff for the
Scary
Saints.
Stuff.
All right, next one. Caitlin Clark named AP's Women Athlete of the Year. Confirm or deny? Caitlin Clark is the biggest basketball star under 30.
I will confirm it. We were just talking about what's wrong with the NBA, what ails the NBA. Part of what ails the NBA is their two biggest stars, LeBron James and Steph Curry, they're way above 30.
Exactly.
LeBron's going to be 40 next week. Steph's 36. KD's in his 30s. You think about the big names, the guys that draw the eyeballs and have massive followings, almost all of those guys are past 30. Now, Wemby's 20, and he's going to be the next big thing, but I'm not sure he's going to have the appeal of a Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is massive.
Why is that?
You tell me why somebody captures the imagination of a fan base. I think there's a lot of different reasons. I think it's a little bit like the Steph Curry phenomena. It's like she seems approachable. She's not a super athlete. She's a regular sized person.
She's likable, very likable. Yeah, I meant more so like, why do you think Victor? Because I think if you look at it, right, basketball stars under 30. So like, who's in the conversation? Like Caitlin Clark obviously is there. Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man. You could put Luka Doncic in that conversation.
Doncic is up there.
And Victor Wembanyama, I think right now is obviously a big name. He's young.
Gilgeous-Alexander.
Right, Shea. And here in Canada, you would probably argue Shea's the biggest under 30 in Canada, but when it comes to the world basketball stage, not quite. Despite being in, a back-to-back years where he's in the MVP conversation. Jokic didn't get brought up in here. Oh, I think Jokic is over 30 now at this point.
He's getting there. Right?
Yeah, so he's a little over there. But like again, he was never a needle mover when it comes to like his name being talked about, right? So I think I'll confirm it as well.
Okay.
I do believe that Caitlin Clark just really captured a lot of people, and she moves the needle. She moves the needle. I think it's great for, women's basketball and the WNBA, and hopefully the PWHL gets their Caitlin Clark at some point, and we could see women's hockey take off here. But to me, I agree with you. I think that you look at her and the season that she had, not only dating back to what she did in college, which was also in 2024, keep in mind.
Yeah.
What she did for a college season and then parlayed that into, a terrific year with the Indiana Fever. I think by far, if you think of whose name got brought up on ESPN more times, I would think that Caitlin Clark's name has got to be up there amongst the best of the best when we're talking about basketball players worldwide.
And the other great thing she's got going for her, AB, is the WNBA, players don't like each other. There's a lot of pushback on Caitlin Clark. There's a lot of people that resent Caitlin Clark. That's good. Drives a great narrative. It's a great storyline. The fact that all the old school WNBA players are really resenting this new schooler walking in and taking the limelight, only makes it a better storyline.
Yeah, I agree. So we're both confirming Caitlin Clark, biggest basketball star under 30 years of age. All right, next one. Austin Matthews will sit out the Four Nations face-off. Confirm or deny?
You saying will or
will,
should?
not should.
Okay.
Will sit out.
Well, I'm going to deny it if it's will. I'm going to confirm it if it should.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because I just loved the brainwave that MJ just gave us of let's just sit this guy out to the playoffs. Like, what are we doing here? He sat out the month of November or most of it, came back for 11 games, wasn't feeling it. So why are we playing around here with trips to Munich and day-to-day turns into week-to-week, turns into most of a month? If this guy can get better with time, as NJ pointed out, why doesn't he just take time from January 1 or whatever it is until April 15th or whatever the regular season's over, free up that $13.25 million in cap space to load up the team.
Shopping spree?
Go on a shopping spree. Austin can head off to Munich
Oh, boy.
for more treatment, quote unquote, and forget the Four Nations Cup, man. This is about the Stanley Cup and the pursuit thereof.
I'm going to confirm that he will sit, though. Like, we're both in agreement he should, but whether or not he will is a different story. But I'm going to confirm it. I think ultimately, I believe he understands that his health is at the utmost importance at this point. And if he's not feeling 100%, which he hasn't since the start of the season. It's already been 3 months, and he's still feeling this nagging injury. And all it took was one vicious cross-check to really get him back into feeling poor enough to be sitting out and re-aggravate that injury. You don't think they're going to be doing that in a best-on-best tournament? I think they absolutely will try to do that. It's some of the biggest and best players on the planet. So for me, I just think that it's just something that Austin Matthews absolutely should think to himself, what's the betterment? What's better for me? What's better for my team and what I want to accomplish? Does he want to be a gold medalist at the Four Nations champion, or does he want to be a Stanley Cup champion? And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is if he sits out and he takes the time to rest. Now, again, we don't really know the extent of the injury. He could be 100% by February. And if that's the case, okay, I suppose he could go and play. But based on what we've seen over the last 3 months where it has not healed, why would it all of a sudden get healed after being re-aggravated all of a sudden in the next 6 weeks? I don't think it's likely. Therefore, he should not play. And I think he will understand that. I think there'll be pressure from the organization, from the team, and from himself probably to sit out and get better so he can get back to being the best goal scorer on the planet and help this team win games.
Look, if sitting out most of a month didn't make it better, that tells me, not a doctor, just as somebody with basic logic, that he's going to need to sit out more than a month for it to get better.
Exactly.
And that's going to gobble up the Four Nations Cup and maybe more.
And I would think, too, like now he's got the C on his chest. Maybe he does hold a little bit more responsibility to the team than to himself when it comes to choosing Leafs or Team USA. He's wearing the C for the Maple Leafs now. I think that should come into play as well when you think about it. All right, another one. Confirm or deny. Aaron Rodgers will have a robust market if he leaves the Jets this offseason.
I think he will. I'm going to confirm it. I mean, this is a league where there's always somebody looking for a quarterback in this league. And look, I know Aaron Rodgers comes with noise. He comes with baggage. He comes with ancillary activities, going on the Pat McAfee show, trolling NFL owners as he did this week with Woody Johnson, talking about the possibility of being released by a teenager in reference to the Jets owner's teenage sons, who apparently are very instrumental in the operation of the Jets. But look, for all of that, AB, he's shown flashes that at age 40, he can still sling it, man. And with a good line and a decent defense, I'm not saying he's anywhere near the conversation of a Mahomes or an Allen or a Lamar. He's not in that league anymore. He's not an MVP caliber quarterback. But you can't tell me he's not a mid-pack NFL quarterback. And that's good enough to get plenty of interest if he's a free agent.
The Leafs center dilemma: who can strengthen the roster? If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan like me, you know the team's center depth has been a constant concern this season. With Austin Matthews set to return from a mysterious upper body injury next week, the excitement of having our star back is palpable. However, there are still serious issues to address in the center position to keep the team competitive and, of course, fuel our playoff dreams. David Kampf, a key piece in the center rotation, is sidelined with a lower body injury. As if that weren't enough, Kaye Jarnkrok is still recovering from surgery, leaving another gap in the lineup. Max Domi, expected to be a versatile asset, has been placed on injured reserve, further aggravating the situation after missing consecutive practices due to lingering pains. To sum it up, the Leafs are missing 4 functional centers, and the pressure to act is mounting. James Mirtle, a respected Leafs analyst and contributor to The Athletic, highlighted a series of potential trade targets to address this dilemma during his appearance on the J.D. Bunke's podcast. Among the names mentioned, 2 stood out: Nick Jugstad and, for the nostalgic fans, a possible reunion with Ryan O'Reilly. Jugstad seems to be Mirtle's favorite, and for good reason. The player, who signed a 2-year deal with the Utah Hockey Club last offseason, carries a manageable $2.1 million cap hit, which is essential for a team as salary cap-strapped as the Leafs. Additionally, standing at 6 feet 6 inches and weighing 205 pounds, he would bring not only physicality but also consistent offensive contributions. Jugstad is the most viable option for the Leafs right now, Mirtle stated on the podcast. And he's right. Experienced and versatile, Jugstad has played for several teams, including the Florida Panthers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Minnesota Wild, and Edmonton Oilers, and could quickly adapt to the Leafs' dynamic. With an affordable contract and a solid track record, he offers a practical solution without sacrificing too many future assets. However, it's impossible to ignore the possibility of a Ryan O'Reilly return. Yes, we know he chose the Nashville Predators last summer in search of a quieter environment, but the Leafs management still holds him in high regard. The 2019 Stanley Cup-winning captain with the St. Louis Blues is precisely the type of player any contender would love to have on their roster. However, the cost of bringing him back would be steep, both in terms of trade assets and cap space adjustments, as Nashville or a third team would need to retain part of his salary. I don't think the O'Reilly scenario is entirely out of reach, Mirtle said, showing that there's optimism within the organization. However, there are doubts about how much it's worth investing in a 33-year-old player, even with his impeccable credentials. Meanwhile, cheaper internal options like Steven Lorentz, Connor Dewar, Pontus Holmberg, and Fraser Minton have been mentioned. But let's be honest, these names might serve as short-term stopgaps, but they're far from offering the stability and impact the team needs. The pressure is all on GM Brad Treliving. He knows that despite the Leafs' solid performance so far, the center position is crucial to sustaining any championship aspirations. With the trade deadline approaching, Treliving has likely intensified his efforts to finalize a deal. And we, the fans, are eagerly awaiting good news. For now, all we can do is trust that the team can weather this tough phase and hope a solution, whether it's Jugstad, O'Reilly, or another name, arrives before things spiral out of control. After all, as we all know, the Leafs don't have the luxury of wasting another season with a promising but incomplete roster. The time to act is now. The Leafs center dilemma, expanding on the potential solutions. The Toronto Maple Leafs, amidst another promising yet tumultuous season, face one of their most pressing challenges, addressing a depleted center lineup that threatens to derail their momentum. While the return of Auston Matthews is a beacon of hope, the broader picture remains dire, requiring urgent action from the front office. With Kampf, Jarnkrok, and Domi sidelined, the team's depth has been stretched thin. The immediate impact is clear on both ends of the ice. Defensively, the Leafs are struggling to suppress opposing top lines without reliable two-way centers. Offensively, puck distribution and power play setups have been less dynamic, as the makeshift lineups lack the same chemistry. This imbalance underscores the necessity for reinforcements. Nick Jugstad, as highlighted by James Mirtle, presents the most realistic trade option. His affordable contract and towering physical presence align perfectly with the Leafs' needs. Beyond his imposing stature, Jugstad brings versatility. He can play both center and wing, a flexibility that would allow head coach Sheldon Keefe to adjust the lineup dynamically. However, acquiring Jugstad isn't without complications. The Utah Hockey Club, formerly the Arizona Coyotes, is currently rebuilding but may still demand a premium return for their experienced forward. The Leafs will likely need to part with a mid-tier prospect or draft pick to make the deal work. With their prospect pool already thin, Treliving faces a tough decision. Another name that excites fans and analysts alike is Ryan O'Reilly. The former Conn Smythe winner and Stanley Cup champion has a proven track record of elevating teams in high-stakes situations. His leadership during his brief stint with Toronto last season left a lasting impression. Yet, the Predators have little incentive to move him unless the offer is overwhelming. Should the Leafs pursue O'Reilly, it would almost certainly require a multi-asset package. A first-round pick and a promising young player like Nick Robertson might need to be part of the conversation. Additionally, Nashville would have to retain salary, a process that often involves a third-party team to facilitate. The logistics are challenging but not insurmountable. Internal options like Pontus Holmberg and Fraser Minton offer short-term relief but lack the experience needed for a deep playoff run. Holmberg has shown flashes of potential, but his limited NHL exposure raises questions about his readiness for a consistent role. Minton, while promising, is still developing and would be better served continuing his growth in the minors. A wild-card option could be exploring European leagues or waiver claims to unearth an overlooked talent. Teams like the Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche have found gems in unconventional ways, and the Leafs scouting department may need to cast a wider net to uncover an affordable, immediate solution. Another factor complicating the Leafs' decisions is the looming salary cap crunch. With Matthews' extension set to kick in soon, Toronto must be mindful of every financial commitment. Adding a high-priced center now could limit flexibility during the off-season, forcing Treliving to juggle short-term needs against long-term sustainability. Trade timing will also play a pivotal role. Acting quickly could stabilize the team and prevent further slip-ups in the standings, but it may come at the cost of negotiating leverage. Alternatively, waiting closer to the deadline could yield better deals as selling teams grow more desperate. The risk, however, is enduring several more weeks of uncertainty. Sheldon Keefe's role in navigating this storm can't be overstated. His ability to extract maximum effort from an injury-riddled lineup will be crucial. Keefe has already experimented with unconventional line combinations, but the lack of true centers limits his tactical options. A new acquisition would provide the stability he needs to implement a more structured game plan. The Leafs locker room has remained resilient through adversity, with veterans like John Tavares and Morgan Rielly stepping up as vocal leaders. However, even their efforts may not be enough to overcome the absence of key personnel. Reinforcements are not just a luxury, they're a necessity. For fans, the anxiety is palpable. After years of playoff heartbreak, this season feels like another chapter in the saga of unmet expectations. Yet, there's cautious optimism. The team has shown glimpses of brilliance, and the addition of a solid center could be the missing piece that transforms them from contenders to genuine threats. As the trade rumors swirl, one thing is certain: the next few weeks will be critical in shaping the Leafs season. Whether it's Bjugstad, O'Reilly, or an unexpected name, the decision made by Brad Treliving and his staff could define not just this campaign, but the team's trajectory for years to come. For now, we wait, hopeful that the Leafs will seize the moment and finally deliver on their immense potential. Will the Leafs make their move? As the speculation intensifies, the Leafs fan base is holding its collective breath, waiting for signs of a breakthrough.